But it's far from a done deal. He's relying on his former wife, Liz, to help buy the pub.
You are going into business with your ex-husband.
Yes.
Is that a risk?
Yes.
Heike has found a boisterous new companion to help her settle into life on Scilly.
This is your new home now.
But within days, Leo the bull terrier has put the new vet in an awkward position with the islanders.
There was a dog fight and the girl tried to get in between, get the both off each other and got bitten in the hand.
And for Father Guy, it's taking time to find his feet as the new chaplain to the Isles.
It's getting to know people, and part of that process clearly is listening. You know, I'm bound to let someone down at some point, probably earlier than I think.
The most northerly and one of the remotest of the 5 inhabited Isles of Scilly is St Martin's, which many believe to be the most beautiful island of them all. Only about 100 people live here. There's a church, a shop, a hotel, and one pub, the Seven Stones, with one of the finest views of any pub in Britain. The lease for the pub has recently come onto the market, and Islander Toby Tobin Dugan, who runs the bakery, plans to take it over. He's been talking things through with Father Guy.
So have you got any plans to change the layout at the moment?
Yeah, we've got some great plans, but unfortunately we're just literally buying it just before Easter. So, you know, if we can manage to turn the key in the door, it would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Today, Toby's leaving Scilly for a critical meeting on the mainland. Toby's going into business with his ex-wife Liz, who's quit her job as a social worker in Brighton, is selling her house and putting every penny into buying the pub with Toby. They're meeting at a solicitor's office in Penzance to exchange contracts and sign the deal.
So this is D-Day for you then?
It is. A bit nervous, really.
Are you?
A little bit,
What
yeah.
are you nervous about?
Well, it's been such a long journey, really. It's been so complicated and difficult, and now we're right at that point, and you know, all the fears and trepidations sort of come to the front of your mind, really, and you think, am I doing the right thing? You know, what have we done? But no, I'm excited as well. It's good to see Liz and finally to sort of conclude everything that we've been planning since last September, really.
So assuming all goes to plan, you will actually sign on the dotted line today then?
We are going to sign the dotted line. Yeah.
Wow. And what will go through your mind when that happens?
I think a big release of stress will sort of flow away.
Now the islanders wait with interest to see if, by the end of the day, the famous Seven Stones pub really does have new owners. Just down the road at her surgery at Old Town Bay, the new vet, Dr. Heike Dawn, is hard at work. With the help of the retired vet, Malcolm Martland, Heike is performing a hysterectomy on a Labrador, a delicate and complicated operation. This is the first big job Heike's had for days. Work's been much thinner on the ground than she'd imagined, which is a worry. Later, she's on the beach outside the house for a birthday party for her son Sammy, who's 6 today. He's the real reason Heike's come to Scilly. This is an idyllic place to bring up children. And to help Sammy settle in here, Heike's acquired Leo, an 8-month-old bull terrier. But now Leo's in big trouble after what appears to have been quite a serious incident.
Somehow Leo got out and then there was a dog fight. And the girl tried to get in between, get the both off each other, and got bitten in the hand. Her mother phoned me in the afternoon and was quite upset. And I had to tell her that I would let Leo go back to the mainland to his breeder.
So he's got to go. Definitely,
Yeah,
he's got to go.
Definitely, yeah.
And how are you going to feel when you have to say goodbye to him?
Well, probably have to weep a little bit.
And what about your son, Sammy?
Oh, Sam's already totally upset about the fact that I have to give Leo back, and he's wailing in his room with closed doors, and you can hear it all over the house, you know, the howls.
You're having a rather tough time of it, aren't you?
Yes.
Well, it wasn't quite the idyllic start to your new life on the island.
No.
Oh dear.
Even though Heike didn't actually see the dogfight herself, and assuming no new information comes to light, Leo will be back on the helicopter before the end of the week. Over on the mainland, Toby's ex-wife Liz is making the long journey from Brighton via Newquay Airport for the key meeting at the solicitors. Even though it's a strictly business relationship with her ex-husband, she's keen to get started on her new life as co-owner of the Seven Stones.
How is the close, okay?
Yeah, not fine.
But they need every penny from the sale of her house to be able to afford the pub. So first they'll exchange contracts on the sale of the house, and once that's signed and sealed, the pub will effectively be theirs.
Hi. Good to meet you. How are you doing? Do you want to come through? Yeah, literally, yeah.
Toby's plans for the Seven Stones have met with great enthusiasm from the islanders, not least lobsterman Mark Pender, who'll be a key supplier to the pub.
You caught those this morning?
Yeah, I just done that in a string of crab here. That's a nice one to look at, that. That's a nice cock crab, that is.
So some of that will be going up towards Toby's pub then?
The ones with the lots of meat in them, good backs and a lot of meat in, they'll go up to Toby's.
Needs a new lease of life a bit, doesn't it, the pub?
Yeah, it needs summer after a few years being a bit stale up there, really. So it needs summer. Toby's got some good ideas and he's got plenty of drive about him. So he should do a good job.
Meanwhile, Father Guy has an important appointment on St. Martin's. He's due to meet the teacher in charge of the 9 primary school children, Lois Briard. In just over a week's time, Lois is getting married to an island lad, and the couple want Father Guy to conduct the service. She's meeting him now up at the church to go through the final arrangements.
Let's be honest, I'm probably as nervous as you, because this is my first wedding I'm officiating at on the Isles of Scilly.
It'll be the biggest wedding on St. Martin's for years. Nearly everyone on the island is involved one way or another, so it's vital nothing goes wrong.
Your fake tan? On a day like today?
The big evening reception has been booked for the Seven Stones pub. At the solicitor's office in Penzance, things are suddenly going badly wrong for Toby and Liz. A last-minute call from the people who'd agreed to buy Liz's house threatens to torpedo the entire project.
I'm not really sure. I mean, I've just left a voicemail message on her telephone again saying, I've just heard it's 8,000. They want £8,000 reduction. That's totally unacceptable to us. Give me a ring back and let me know, what the hell's going on.
At our request, could you speak to the estate agent and explain that you have impossibly tried to get through to their solicitor to discuss, and you say that my client just cannot manoeuvre at this point?
Hello? I've got Elizabeth in with me at the moment, signing a document, and I understand they want to, they asked to reduce the purchase price by 8,000, is that right? She's, I think, willing to drop the price by £2,000, but that is very much a sort of full and final offer, that's it.
Because the finances are so tight, Liz and Toby have no room to manoeuvre. They seem to have reached an impasse. So, after all the negotiations, the future of the Seven Stones pub now hangs in the balance, and with it, plans for the island's big wedding reception. The smallest of the Isles of Scilly is St Agnes, where times are changing too. With the help of an EU grant, dairy farmers Tim and Sue Hicks have recently converted an old milking shed into an ice cream parlour, and much now hangs on the success of the venture.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Their son Sam has chucked in his job on the mainland, and with his wife Laura is building his own house on the farm, now nearing completion. There's virtually no accommodation for young people on Scilly, and this was the only way for Sam and his young family to live on the island of his birth. It's the first building to have got planning permission on the island for over 20 years. Every nail, brick and plank has had to be brought over by ferry from the mainland. And heating will come from water pumped through hot rocks beneath the field next door, and then into flexible pipes being laid beneath the floors in each room. They have to move in before Easter to free up the farm's holiday chalet where they've been staying.
There was a possibility that you're going to have to bunk in back with your mum and dad. Is that still on the cards, or are you
I think
probably
we're much more optimistic now. We reckon that we can get in, even if we don't have all the services there. We'll be dry and we'll be warm, and even if we can't do the cooking and sort of, you know, have extra bathrooms downstairs and all things like that, we can have the basics to get in and sort of almost camp in here.
We're willing to camp. We run a campsite, so we're pretty happy to do that.
We may end up putting a bed in here and that'll do.
So there might be a tent on standby just in case.
Yeah.
Sam's now throwing himself into his new life back on Scilly. And today he's off with his mother to sell ice cream at the local produce market on St Mary's. The market's a new idea on Scilly, designed to encourage local suppliers and reduce expensive imports. And Father Guy's anxious to see the market for himself, along with wife Kate and their daughters Alice and Clary.
Hello, Sam. How's the house?
It's all right, it's up.
It's up?
We're not in yet, but...
Plumbed in?
Coming on.
You doing it all yourself?
I'm trying to, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yes, yeah.
Learn as we go. We're going to move in. It won't be quite finished, but it should be dry.
Okay. We'll come back and get some ice cream. Good morning, how are you?
Fine, there you go.
This is a great opportunity for Guy to catch up with news from his parishioners. Since they arrived, he and Kate have been keeping a low profile socially. Now, though, they're slowly entering island society.
Will Martin deal with it for you?
Kate's been told she needs to get here early to get the best fish from Martin Bond, the trawlerman.
Hey, Martin.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm all right, how are you?
All right.
Kate's got an order.
John Dory, those 3.
I've only got small ones, I've got some more coming up in a minute.
That's okay.
Got some fishing in now.
Yeah, a nice lot come in last night. So.
Did it? Oh, well done.
They worked hard for it, but they got it.
Those prayers work.
That's all right.
Brilliant.
Thank you for that.
Thanks, Martin. Cheers.
Can I have 3 red mullet, please?
Here on the main island, St Mary's, there's a small selection of shops, and people from the off-islands generally come here once a week to stock up. But oddly, there's no fishmongers. The pubs and restaurants are supplied with fish by Martin Bond in his old van. But with his catches increasing, it's clear Martin's missing out on a much bigger market. At an empty barn up in the middle of the island, Martin's quietly working away at a project which he thinks could be the perfect answer.
This is it, the wreck of the Hesperus. There she is, the bare shell.
Wow. What was it before then?
It was a fish farm before, but obviously it is an old timer. It wouldn't meet current regulations for health and hygiene, so we're going to start again and give her a new lease of life.
Why have you done this?
The demand is there, and we go around in the van, but you don't catch everyone. You know, you miss a lot of people. There's an awful lot of people don't get served, and this way everybody will know where it is and
really
come to us. Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, people do like their fish here very much. Yeah.
Really? Well, good luck, Martin.
Well, thank you very much. Perhaps you'll be my first customer.
Up at the airport, Toby the baker's on his way home after the disastrous meeting at the solicitor's office. He's furious at the way they've been treated by the people who'd agreed to buy Liz's house.
We're completely appalled by the whole thing, really. I'm very angry.
What did you do when they said they wanted the property for £8,000 less?
I thought it. I didn't think I was here in reality. I thought it was a complete joke. I thought I was just in a complete state of shock.
Because this isn't just like buying a house for you. This is a whole change of life, isn't it, for you and
Liz
as well?
This is myself and Liz, who is obviously selling a house, left her job, moving over here. It's my daughter, who's going to be working in the pub. It's a chef who's come from the north to work with us. It's a chef and his wife who's come from Poland to work with us. And Roger, of course, who owns the pub, wants to move back up to Yorkshire. So it's a big equation, really.
Word about what's happened spreads quickly.
Running very close to the wire, isn't it? Yeah, dreadful thing. Trying to cope with it all, isn't it? Because he knows he's got to get out and running.
He's got to get out and running by Easter?
Yeah. Week away.
The question now is what happens next? Can Toby find a way of scraping up some extra money, or do they just abandon the whole idea of taking over the pub? With Easter just around the corner, the holiday season is now well underway. And after a series of mishaps and last-minute engine problems, at last Fraser Hicks's boat Sea King is up and running. So Fraser, the boat's all ship-shape?
Yeah, that's right. You know, we got all our little electrical problems sorted out, which is good news.
Bit of a late start for the season for you though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we would have been nice to have been on the run a few days earlier, but you know, that's the way it works. You know, you can't do everything.
Sea King is one of a small fleet that ferry holidaymakers between the islands. But at nearly 60 years old, she's not equipped with the luxuries of the more modern boats.
The only trouble with the Sea King, she's a fine ship, but she chucks a bit of spray. She's tends to be a bit wet.
There's no cabin on this one, unlike some of the others.
No, that's it. It's nice when it's sunny weather, but it isn't so good when it's raining. You get wet.
But what's really on Fraser's mind is the future of his only child, Rebecca, who's arriving at a tiny airfield back on the mainland for the flight over to St Mary's. She's on her way home to Scilly after a stint working in Australia. Rebecca was brought up on the sea, and one day she could take over the Sea King and so keep the boat in the family. But it's not that straightforward.
It would be difficult for her, really, because you know, to find work and that pays enough to pay a mortgage and that sort of thing. It's not easy for youngsters to actually finance living on Scilly. I mean, obviously, if she decided that she wanted to work here and go boating, then I would be delighted. But at the end of the day, it's her decision. You know, I can't make decisions for her.
Because you'd like her to take over the boat one day, wouldn't you?
Well, that's it. She thinks I'm never going to retire, I think. But I suppose I'll have to one day. I'll be too old and crotchety to be able to get on the boat, and then that'll be that.
Rebecca's home for the first time in 9 months. It's a close-knit community here, and her first priority now will be to spend time catching up with friends as well as family.
Oh, Scilly.
Oh yeah, all right. How are you? Nice to see you.
Up at the vet's house at Old Town Bay, some better news for Heike. More information has now emerged about the dogfight involving Leo the Bull Terrier.
Well, everything has changed again. Apparently it was dangerous, but now I've heard from so many people, and actually also from people who were there, because I wasn't there when it happened, that it wasn't his fault at all, and he didn't start the fight at all.
The other dog started.
The other dog started the fight.
So is he not going to go back to the mainland?
No, he's perfectly fine.
What, didn't he bite the owner of the other dog? There was blood everywhere.
No, what I have heard is that it was barely a scratch.
So he's allowed to live for another day on Scilly, is he?
Oh, absolutely. I think he will be fine. He's only 8 months old. He's only a puppy, and he needs time to calm down like every other young dog.
To help reduce Leo's unbridled joie de vivre, Heike has decided on a drastic course of action.
He will be castrated this week.
Will that calm him down a bit?
Yeah. It will also calm down his wanderlust.
Then won't he feel slightly emasculated? Because he's quite a macho dog, isn't he?
Yes, but I don't want to handle his upcoming testosterone waves, you know. And this will put a dead stop on it.
So that's nice for you and Sammy.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a pretty dog, but he's a character. Come on.
But Leo is very much on probation. One wrong move and he will be on the next chopper back to the mainland, and an unknown fate.
Yeah, good dog. You're a good dog.
Over on St Agnes, with the busy Easter holiday now nearly upon them, Sam and Laura have decided to move into the new house, even though it's not quite finished. After nearly a year of waiting, it's a job which involves all the family. Sam's father, Farmer Tim Hicks, is on hand to bring down their worldly possessions from the holiday chalet where they've been camping out through the winter. And Sam's mum, Sue, is working her way through a mountain of builder's dust. Sam and Laura own the house, but the land it's built on they must rent from Prince Charles's Duchy of Cornwall.
What every good tenant should have.
There you are. The legal complications involved means the house would be hard to sell, so they're almost certainly here for life. Not that they're complaining. Tonight, Sam, his daughter Isla and wife Laura will be spending the first night in their new house.
I've been looking forward to this for, well, months.
This is quite a big day, isn't it?
Huge day for me, yeah. Really excited.
And you are in the most amazing location here. That's something you forget about or take for granted a bit.
Never, never. You can't, because you look out the window and you see that, and I think it's going to take me a long time to get used to it, let alone take it for granted. No, I'll never forget that. Feeling very lucky.
Being in the house is one thing. Now Scilly's newest islanders must set about earning a living. And given the vagaries of dairy farming and tourism, upon which they utterly depend, the future is by no means certain. A few days later, and things suddenly seem to be moving on St Martin's. After hours of negotiations, Toby's on the phone to Liz in Brighton.
Yes, fantastic, yeah.
His bank managers finally agreed a further loan of £4,000 against future income. And the purchasers of Liz's house have agreed the deal. His daughter Darcy's hurried up to join Toby at the Seven Stones.
After all of the stress and turmoil of the last week, we exchanged contracts today, so, and...
How long ago?
About an hour and a half.
About an hour and a half ago, it's happened.
Right down to the wire, yeah, so it was very stressful towards the end, and but it all came together, thankfully, didn't it, Darcy?
It did, yeah.
So it's yours, effectively, then, isn't it?
Legally, yes.
Yeah, what do you think about
that? Terrified, really.
How did you hear the news, Darcy?
Well, I was actually in the shower at the time, but I got out and Steve said to me, do you want to hear the good news or the bad news?
Steve's your boyfriend?
Yeah, and I said, give me the bad news. And he said, oh, I'm not rowing tonight. And I said, what's the good news? He said, you got a pub.
Because normally you'd be rowing with the gig tonight.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do you think about it all?
Oh, it's brilliant. It's great. It's really nice that it's all sorted and it's ours and we can get in there and decorate it and make it
It's been
all
a
ours.
long wait, hasn't it? It's been a really long wait, but we're finally there now, so...
And this is the first time that you've been here legally as the owner?
That's right, yeah.
You are the landlord of the Seven Stones.
Exactly. I'm going to pour myself a pint. I think I deserved it after today's stress.
Hey.
Well poured.
Next day, and an early morning helicopter arrives at the landing field on Tresco, the island next to St Martin's. On board, the new landlady of the Seven Stones, her 2 cats, and Darcy's half-brother Connor, who's here to lend a hand getting the pub ready for Easter.
made it, haven't we, Connor? Against all the odds.
Are you excited?
Oh yeah, really excited. I can't wait to get there and yeah, get stuck in and meet everyone and get all my stuff over there. And
because you've sold your house and you've had to clean it and empty it.
Yeah, it's hard saying goodbye to friends,
computers,
and family, and the house. I've been there for a while now, and yeah, it was sad. But I'm really glad to be here, and we're all in one piece, and the cats are here, and Connor's here.
So over on St Martin's, you've got Toby waiting for you and your daughter waiting for you. What will it be like to see all the family together?
It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic, and I'm really excited and can't wait, really. Watching out for that boat to arrive. Thank you very much.
Across the water at the chaplaincy on St Mary's, Father Guy's quietly delighted at what's happening to Toby and Liz.
I think it's just a wonderful human story, isn't it? That perhaps their relationship broke down, and it's very heartening that they'll be able to build a relationship again and be able to go into business together. It's quite amazing.
Because what's interesting is they obviously still have an enormous amount in common.
Yes, yeah. It's probably what brought them together in the first place. And they've found that common interest again, which is good. In any relationship that we have with other people, if it does break down, unfortunately, there must still be a part of your life with this other person.
Toby!
For now, there's time for just a brief moment of celebration. It's the first time the family's been together again in 15 years.
Oh, hi! Oh, I can't believe you're here! Oh, I'm so relieved to be here. I'm so relieved. Oh, I can't tell you how relieved we are, aren't we, Connor?
Ahead lie all kinds of difficulties and worries. But they won't be starting the real work until they've had a small party, all on their own. In the next programme, a bright new dawn heralds the coming of Easter. And with it, the official start of the busy holiday season on Scilly. Heike, desperate to earn some extra cash, is press-ganged into help.
Also ich mache das heute zum ersten Mal. Ich bin nämlich der Tierarzt hier. Ich habe überhaupt keine...
And at the Seven Stones pub, they've less than a week to get ready for Lois's wedding, the biggest social event of the year. The new chef arrives just in time.
I'm pumped up, I'm ready to go. I've been waiting for a month to get in the kitchen now, so...
First debut, really, for the island?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of islands here, and...
If you get it wrong?
If I get it wrong, there'll be I'm not going to get it wrong.
On the Isles of Scilly, it's the start of a new era for the only pub on one of the smallest islands. At the last minute, it's been taken over by Toby the baker.
Yes, fantastic.
Much to the islanders' surprise, Toby's business partner in the new venture is none other than his ex-wife Liz, who's coming over from the mainland to start a new life here.
Toby!
Father Guy's quietly delighted.
I think it's just a wonderful